Faction balance is a problem, and it's time that Amazon do something about it. So there's quite a few reports now of, on whatever server you're on, one faction being the dominant faction. And that is the case on my server for sure. And in my case, it's that the Syndicate is the most popular faction. But on other servers, it's maybe the Marauders. I wouldn't say yellow because there probably are some yellow, but I just don't know of them. But there's just not enough things in place to really rectify the issue that Amazon have done. The only thing that I know of is that the most popular faction cannot be transferred to. There's too many advantages for the most popular faction and not enough like underdog potential for the other two factions. If I show you my server, so you might look at this map and you think, oh, actually Jay, that doesn't look that bad. It's 5 territories of purple, 3 greens, 1 yellow. Seems reasonable. But the actual population on this server is probably more like 80% purple and then, I don't know, 15% greens and 5% yellows. I'm being like exaggerating, I don't actually know the numbers, but it's significantly purple based. You run around the world, you'll see 5 purple dudes easily at every quest area. Maybe you're lucky to see 1 green or 1 yellow running about. But why is this important? Well, you actually get benefits for owning the territories. So let's have a look here. I'm a little bit in the way, but I'll go through this. Governing company members get a discount for fast travel at 70%, discount for taxes, 30% discount on houses. But then the faction members as a whole, they get 40% discount for fast travel. You get those like resource containers in town, so you might get like extra linen or something like that. You get that remote storage, so that if you have multiple territories and it's the same faction, you can travel stuff between as long as it's your faction. And you get global luck in that area, and you get a gathering bonus. Quite nice things to have for sure. And the problem really is there's not really enough downsides to being the most popular faction. So what's happened? Let's say you join the game now. Let's say I join the game and I'm picking my faction. Who do I pick? Well, at the minute, the servers might not be able to have people start in them if you're in a full server. I appreciate that. We'll talk about that in a moment. But let's say you start the game. Well, who are you going to pick? You know that there's benefits for getting territory because that's the whole point of the game. You see that the purple are dominant. You pick purple. I have no qualms with people doing that. I pick purple because purple is my favourite colour. But, you know, I can understand why people would do that. And there's not enough reasons to not pick purple. So you get advantages for being the dominant faction, but you don't really get any disadvantages. And what it should be is like a combination of the both of them. Yeah, you might have to keep like paying an upkeep or something like that, but I mean, it's just not good enough. I think one way to do it would be to create a bonus that if you killed the most dominant faction, that would be at least advantageous. It gives you like an extra benefit or something like that. Some people say put a cap on the most dominant faction. I don't think that would necessarily really work because it might stop friends playing with friends, and I don't really feel like that would be a nice thing to do. I want a system, and this may or may not be in the game, I'm not 100% sure. I want the territories that the more territories that one faction have, I want them to be slightly easier to take, whether that's to put them in a war quicker or whether that's actually when they're in the war, it's actually a little bit easier to take if they have more territories. But at the minute, if I flag on for PvP, I'll die within like 10 minutes easily. Not just because I'm bad, but because I'll get outnumbered. I am bad as well. Amazon, when they spoke in like interviews and stuff like that, is like, oh, we're aware of like faction imbalance issues. We've got plans to solve it. Well, if they have, they've not really revealed their hand right now. Yes, I think the only thing that they will do is to do the server merges. So what they'll do is like, hey, there's purple dominant on this faction. There's green dominant on this faction. Why don't we put them together? Fight! There's only one winner. But I don't really feel like the game has any sensible way of balancing this at the moment. I'm not a game designer, I don't know the solution, but for me, the solution needs to appear relatively soon because it's not making the game fun. There's just so many of these, in my case, the purple faction, that it's like whenever we try and do PvP missions, well, we'll turn up with 20, they turn up with 60. Well, guess who wins? You know what I mean? We have actually managed to do a war though. We've won one and we've lost one. So that's okay, and I was actually in one of them. I should have been in both, but I missed the accept. By the way, if you do get invited, press accept. It only lasts like 5 minutes. You need to press it. Now, at the minute, you can't actually create new characters on full servers. So people won't be logging on and just picking the most dominant faction. You'll be set where you are. I do think that when we get the server transfers, that the faction imbalance might be worse. Like, imagine I'm on this server and imagine it's 95% purple. Do I transfer because I'm not having a great time to one where it's like all green? Well, I'm not going to because I wanted a fair fight and I actually swapped from purple to green. But some people might do that. And that will be another big problem. But I really want Amazon to do something relatively quickly about this. Now, I know they're working on queues, exploits, and all that kind of good stuff, and I appreciate that. This video might seem like nothing to you. If you can't get in the game and you've been queuing all hours and hours and hours and you've not really played, you might be like, Jay, I can't even get in. I feel you, I understand that. Obviously, there's nothing I personally can do about it, but if you're in game, you want the game to be good, and we need this to be sorted for the game to be good. If you're interested in more New World content, then do make sure to subscribe to the channel. If you like this video, press like. Have a most beautiful day. Goodbye.